I'm so sorry. I didn't see you.
I never imagined my life would take such a dramatic turn. One day I was scrubbing toilets and changing sheets in a bustling New York hotel, and the next, I was a governess in a grand castle, falling for a king. My name is Ellie, and this is my love story. My first encounter with him was far from romantic. A clumsy collision with a maid cart, hardly the stuff of dreams. I apologized profusely, feeling a pang of guilt. To make amends, I playfully tossed a handful of pillow chocolates at him. As he caught them, a small smile tugged at his lip. It was then that I noticed his piercing blue eyes, the sharp lines of his jaw, and his blonde hair neatly styled. And in that moment I knew I was in trouble. He was everything I wasn't expecting. Not the kind of man I'd usually be drawn to, but there was something about him. But as fate would have it, I lost my job as a hotel maid in New York, got employed by a mysterious butler, flew across the world to the enchanting kingdom of Windsor, and found myself working as a governess to a royal princess, still reeling from the loss of her mother. I had just moved into my oversized bedroom, and as I watched from the window, he approached the grand entrance. As he climbed out of the sleek brown car, I couldn't help but notice his broad shoulders and the way his tailored suit accentuated his lean physique. He was the epitome of masculine elegance. All of it was so familiar. It was him. The moment I laid eyes on him, my heart pounded in my chest as I realized the king, Maximilian, Max, was the very same man I accidentally hit with a maid cart. Standing tall and regal, he exuded an air of confidence and sophistication. Trying to win over the Princess Theodora was a handful. Her skepticism was a formidable force. I tried my best to charm her with my American wit and easygoing nature, but she remained unimpressed. My well-intentioned attempt to lighten the mood had backfired spectacularly, resulting in a Christmas ornament careening into Max's head. I cringed, a mixture of embarrassment and concern washing over me. Then I tried to formally introduce myself to him. My heart pounded in my chest as I approached him. I had never been in a situation like this before, and I was terrified of making a fool of myself. I took a deep breath and tried to compose myself, but my nerves got the better of me. Then I stumbled as I curtsied, and I could feel my face turning red. He, however, seemed amused rather than annoyed. Seeking solace after such an awkward first impression, I wandered the castle grounds. I found myself drawn to the stables. There, a magnificent creature stood, as I made small talk with it. Unbeknownst to me, Max had been watching from a distance. A soft smile played on his lips as he observed my interaction with his horse. I turned to face him, surprised to find him standing so close. His eyes, a deep shade of blue, held a warmth that caught me off guard. In that moment I felt a connection, a spark of understanding that transcended our different worlds. At first he was a distant figure, a man burdened by royal duties. But as I spent more time with him, I saw beneath the stern exterior. Behind the regal facade, there was a kind, thoughtful soul who yearned for love and connection. Our shared moments, stolen glances, and quiet conversations ignited a spark within me. I couldn't deny the growing attraction between us. His charm, intelligence, and kindness were captivating. Then one night he invited me to accompany him on a ride. Max, usually so reserved, spoke openly about his hopes and fears. As we rode side by side on horseback, the wind whipping through our hair, I felt a sense of peace. The soft glow of the moon cast a romantic aura. A gentle breeze carried his scent, a mix of leather and something undeniably masculine. And as our eyes met, a spark ignited. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest. As our faces drew closer, our lips neared, an almost kiss. A single thought filled my mind. This could be the start of something truly magical. Just as I was beginning to feel a sense of hope, as our bond deepened, Lady Celia, Max's betrothed, arrived. Her icy gaze swept over me, and I could feel her disdain. She was everything I wasn't, elegant, poised, and perfectly at home in the royal court. Theodora's disdain for her soon-to-be stepmother was palpable as she grilled Lady Celia relentlessly during dinner, then stormed out of the dining room. Concerned, I rushed after her. As I entered the greenhouse, I saw Max joining the pursuit. Then Princess Theodora appeared from nowhere and locked us both in the greenhouse. Max sighed. A look of weariness crossed his face as he tried to explain. Trying to kiss me the other night, and his betrothal to another. Then, he exclaimed, his betrothal was arranged years ago by the throne before they were born. His words echoed in my ears, a bitter taste lingering on my tongue. I was furious. The last thing I wanted was to be near him, to feel his presence, to hear his voice. I needed space. I needed time to sort through my tangled emotions. He paused, his gaze softening as he turned to me. I could see the pain in his eyes, the conflict raging within him. In that moment, I understood the weight of his responsibilities, the sacrifices he was forced to make. The silence that followed was heavy, the air thick with unspoken emotions. As we stood there, trapped in the greenhouse, I couldn't help but wonder what the future held for us. It's Christmas Eve, and the once formal gardens were transformed into a winter wonderland, with laughter and playful shouts echoing through the grounds. Max, usually so composed, couldn't resist the infectious joy. His eyes sparkled with a mischievous glint as he launched a snowball in my direction. I retaliated with a playful grin, a snowball hurtling towards him. As our eyes met, a moment of shared laughter suspended time. In that fleeting instant, I felt a connection deeper than mere friendship. It's the night of the Christmas Eve gala, and his engagement to Lady Celia. Initially, I wasn't meant to attend, but Theodora insisted I join her. With no suitable attire, I turned to a kind co-worker who lent me an old dress. As I entered the ballroom, a hush fell over the crowd. All eyes were on me. Max's gaze, filled with surprise and admiration, met mine. My heart raced as he approached, extending his hand. As we danced, the world faded away, leaving only the two of us. The music, the soft glow of the chandelier, and the warmth of his touch created a perfect moment. Later, as the drama unfolded, Lady Celia accused me of stealing the engagement ring. Although Max and I discovered that Princess Theodora hid the ring, I knew I had to leave. He told me he'd miss me. The thought of leaving filled me with despair. As I packed my bags, a sadness washed over me. I was leaving behind the man I loved, a forbidden love. I was a commoner, a mere maid, while he was the king. The societal divide between us seemed insurmountable. As I left the castle, I feared the pain of an unrequited love. I checked into an inn, a temporary respite. As I stood on the balcony, a familiar figure emerged from the mist. Max, on horseback, rode towards the inn. His arrival was unexpected, a surprise that filled my heart with warmth. He had called off his engagement to Lady Celia. As he dismounted and approached me, his eyes met mine. My heart pounded with anticipation. A silent understanding passed between us. He confessed his love for me, his voice filled with sincerity. The world seemed to pause as his words sent a shiver down my spine. Not from the cold, but from the intensity of his gaze. As he drew closer, I could feel his breath on my face. His lips met mine, a tender kiss that spoke 1,000 words. In that moment, I knew I had found my happily ever after. As we rode back to the castle, a single snowflake landed on his lashes, melting as it touched his skin. In that moment, as our lips met again, the world seemed to stand still. It was a kiss filled with longing, with promise, and with love. In that moment, I knew that no distance, no obstacle, could ever separate us. Our love story was unconventional, but it was ours. I couldn't help but feel a sense of overwhelming joy. A future holds the promise of love and happiness.